So welcome everyone. Today we're going to be talking about what I consider the most mystical aspect of being in community. The title of the message today is The Eye of the We, Exploring Shared Consciousness. So you're probably thinking when I say that, what the heck is that? But before we get into the what, I would like to share the why. And so in order to do that, I want to tell you about a little story that I heard in watching the movie Gandhi. You may be familiar with the 1982 version of it with Ben Kingsley. It's very popular, award-winning. And every now and then in the movies, you hear something that really sticks with you, that kind of lives on beyond the years of the movie. And for me, it was the scene where Gandhi is in the middle of one of his many hunger strikes. And there's a Hindu man that comes bursting in the door. He says, "I'm going to hell, I'm going to hell." And Gandhi says, "Why?" He said, "Because I took the head of a Muslim boy and I smashed it against the rock." And Gandhi says again, "Why?" And he said, "Because the Muslims have killed my family." So Gandhi said, "There is a way out of hell. And what you must do is that you must choose a young boy, one that has lost his mother and father. And you must take him in and raise him as your own. Only make sure that he is a Muslim boy, and that you raise him as one." Now, as you can imagine in this scene in the movie, following that statement was a dead silence. And in that silence, you could really feel this deep abyss between the Hindus and the Muslims. And I think one of the reasons that this has stuck with me is because I asked myself the question, could I have done that? Could you? So put into modern times, just imagine what it might be like to have someone on the far left Democratic side take in and raise a child from the far right Republican side and raise them as Republican. Begins to raise a question of what capacities are really needed for this. What does this really take? In today's times, we can equally feel this abyss that was present in the Gandhi movie between Republicans and Democrats, between vaccinated and unvaccinated. It's calling forth a different way of being from us. Daniel Schmachtenberger says that the problems that we're facing now in today's times are completely different from any other time in history for two reasons. And one is, for the first time, we're really facing problems that are an extinction level. It means that we could really end humanity as we know it right now. And the second thing that is really unique about these times is that there is no one country that can solve this problem alone. There is no one leader, however eloquent, however wise, that can rise to solve the problem for the whole planet. We're being drawn into the wisdom of the collective as the source of the way to go. Cynthia Bourgeault says, "The revelation is greater than any individual pixel of consciousness can hold, no matter how finely attuned. When we are working on a galactic scale, the heart that apprehends is no longer the individual heart, but the noetic heart of humanity." So I'm saying all of this not for us to lose heart when we hear the intensity of what we're inside of right now, And I love studying the work of Brian Swimme, who is a cosmologist. And he talks about 10 universal powers that we have, powers of the universe. And one of them is the power of allurement. And allurement can be thought of as a kind of a spiritual gravity. So we think about this allurement in terms of drawing forth everything that has been created so far, that there's a force within us that draws forth the highest and the best, and that has been from the very beginning. We call this power love. And so as we are looking at these intense conditions through the eyes of evolution and allurement, we can begin to see that we are being drawn forth in a new way to meet these challenges. In every way, I feel that it is just perfect that we are the people that are here right now, that can hear with new ears, can see with new eyes what is needed for these times. So ultimately, it all boils down to who we think we are. There are two words, when said together, are two of the most powerful words in the world. And they are the words, I am. Even this ability to say I, to really claim your individuality, is an important milestone for humanity. We often are really caught up in the shadow of individuality or separation. But really this important milestone of individuality is very key to how we move forward together. And who we are pointing to in ourselves when we say this word I is how we tell the world who we are. It also determines the quality of lens through which we preserve love. Now there are many, multiple I's inside of us. And so as I'm describing these, I want you to think of them more like nesting dolls, and really to listen through the ears of wholeness, because each one really includes the previous, and they're all part of a magnificent whole that you are. So the first one that I want to talk about is the eye of personality. Now, if you're seeing through the eye of personality, you are thinking that the characteristics of who you are as a person is who you really are. Now, there have been really huge amounts of money that have been put into really working at this level, discovering what your qualities are as an individual and learning how to work in harmony with others. There's Myers-Briggs and Strength Finders and Enneagram. And all of these are very important ways for us to really navigate how we work with each other at the level of personality. This is the realm of preferences. People are evaluated according to their personality traits. And as I mentioned before, learning how to navigate here is really, really important, because most of the conversations that we have generally with people are at this level. People are looking at themselves through the eye of the personality. This is the center of gravity in our culture at the moment. So this has a certain amount of possibilities. And one of them is you learn how to join together as like-minded people. You learn how to find your tribe here. And you learn how to be in a relationship with a variety of people. There are a lot of tools that are out that help you with that. And so the next one is the eye of essence. Now this is the eye that you cultivate for the most part through spiritual practice. And this can be found through witness consciousness as one example. And at this level you understand that you have thoughts, but you're not your thoughts. You have a body, but you're not your body. You have beliefs and you have opinions, but you're not your beliefs and opinions. And you recognize then that really who you are is beyond that. You're coming from a larger place of essential self and spirit. And most people now, this is not our center of gravity in our culture anymore. So most people are not here. So those who really understand this I of essence have been working on themselves for quite some time. And of course, this opens up even more possibilities for us when we're here, because we're able now to see ourselves and to see others beyond behavior. And the behavior no longer becomes a barrier for connection. So there's greater possibilities and greater expression for love here at this level. And then the next one is the I of the we. Now this is a whole new place to look. And we talked a little while ago about this West African term called sayubona. And this translates literally as we see you. And so it is a very deep seeing into, where you recognize that you yourself are coming from this deep connection that you have with your ancestors, and they are present with you in this seeing. And that this is the same thing that you are seeing when you see another person, not only that individual, but their heritage going back in all of those influences. And that is a very profound way, a deep way of seeing into that creates possibilities for connection that just seeing an individual person does not. So the other layer too is I like to think about it. When I was in my 20s, I remember someone telling me that every relationship has an angel. And that's a lovely place to look. And it basically speaking to the fact that there is a wisdom that is present in connection, that is beyond and larger than the two people, or however many people there are in that particular group. There's a caring for, there's a larger presence that is there. And so over time, you can develop this possibility of really coming from there, of being informed by that, of listening with those ears. And when we begin to do that, even more possibilities for love begin to emerge. And this is where we begin to understand that we are individuated, but we are not separate from one another. And here's where communication begins to be broader beyond different beliefs and different cultural influences. At how we are able to communicate now is for a third possibility, in the same way that when hydrogen and oxygen come together to make water, that we now have this new possibility that's not really even predictable from either of the parent entities. So we also have access to insights that are not reachable by the individual. And so we begin to really tap into new possibilities and new ways of being that can really touch into this complex time that we live in, and to begin to fill in this great abyss that we have in polarities. And so as I was mentioning before, this stage includes all of the previous stages, so it's really important to see ourselves in a very holistic way, to see that we have all of these eyes available for us at any possible time. And, that so we don't make preferences of one over the other, but we really honor the magnificence of our wholeness here. So Judy Canado says, the new human is a we, but one grounded in a whole me. In the mystery of communion, the me and the we come together in sacred space. Duality falls away, and we find ourselves part of the sacred unity that is the heartbeat of the universe. And so with this arrow of evolution and where we are now, we know there was a period of time on the planet where the arrow of evolution was pointing on physical procreation and just multiplying and filling the earth, procreating. And we could feel that there was so much energy that was really pointed at that activity. And then we could see that after that stage, it became more about building ourselves as individuals and what that meant, inner growth. And there was so much energy that was really pointing and making that possible for us as humans. And now we can feel this universal energy making a huge shift into what we call the collective heart. And now we have all of this resource of beautiful, loving energy from the universe at our disposal to help us to make this shift. In every way, we are on the living edge of our soul's calling to become.